Okay, so first of all, that's a lot to unpack, but I'm going to start with the first question is, did you read my book?
Spark Notes. I heard about it.
You can't make this. Okay, so you spark noted my book.
I read Brittany Renner's book, so you don't have to. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. This is the noble man. The first clip says everything. Cam Newton didn't look smart because he wasn't ready. Her book hasn't been read by him, yet he talks as if he knows exactly what was written. Many men get hurt because they don't know enough about women. PG Washington, which is why we're here to give you the tools and information you need, so you can always protect yourself. We did buy the book, so yes, we did. We did pay for it. I read it from front to back because we care about you and want to help you with the best information we can. So we're going to review this book from the point of view of building our reputation. I've said this a lot of times on this channel. Brittany Renner needs to learn more because she is clear. We don't hate Brittany or women in general, Renner, but we will keep ourselves safe and make sure that our voices are heard. Brittany's book, Judge This Cover, was published in 2018. This is my story about 7 men and 7 lessons, which is based on real events, he said. End quote. Do you remember this video?
I want to know my body count. I don't know why in like 2018 that's any of your fucking business or why it matters. But 24. 11 athletes. Woo! 5 entertainers. Woo! 8 regular guys. Woo! I've only fucked 3 regular guys since I've been Instagram famous because a lot of y'all run your fucking mouths too much.
She gives us detailed insight into what transpired with some of these men. She changed the names to avoid being sued. She also goes into her childhood, which is the most essential part in my opinion. The intro and set finding are the most insightful chapters of the book. We'll talk about that later. This book is pure gold. Pure gold depending on what you are looking for. This book is entertaining and for others it's disgusting, because she does not pull any punches. I literally laughed out loud sometimes. She has some interesting stories to tell. It's pure gold if you want to know exactly what kind of woman you would like to play. What women look for in a man, the selection process of these men. What's going on behind the scenes when women are flown out by these athletes and rappers. The impact of social media, the impact of having multiple lovers, etc., etc. You will notice that the book is written exactly like the way she speaks. She keeps it 100%, even though she contradicts herself a lot in this book. But that's exactly what happens if you go by feel. We'll talk about that later. So, personally, I would recommend this book only if you're using it for educational purposes. Just like The Art of War, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles, Sun Tzu. You can find the book in the description. Listen to all, follow none. I always say focus on the information that's consistent, so we're going to highlight 5 things that remain consistent in her book that are essential for protection. Chapter 1, Childhood Trauma. Chapter 2, Her first lover lives rent-free in her head. Chapter 3, Women break the rules for Tyrone. Number 4, It's always men's fault in the end. Chapter 5, Brittany Renner knows, but she won't / cannot change. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do because we men, ain't we? The dysfunction starts here. Brittany Venus' childhood was not a cakewalk. She is biracial and has some interesting things to say about how that impacted her, being raised in a predominantly white environment. My mom is one of those white girls that thinks that she is black, and my dad is actually black. Her father was imprisoned for a big portion of her childhood. And this is what she says: girls without dads grow up to be the biggest whores, because the first man who's supposed to love a young girl doesn't. And she really lets her mom have it in his book. She describes her relationship with her mother in detail, and it definitely impacted her adult life. My mom never married, which was surprising since she always prioritized men over us. Little did we know, our mom didn't want to be a mom. She dropped us off at our grandparents' house, and we only saw her when she'd occasionally pop in to say hello. So the people, her parents, who were supposed to provide love, support, guidance, and resources for their children to help them grow and develop into successful, responsible, and independent adults, did not do their job, did not want that job. This is the only part of the book where I sympathize with Brittany Renner. Because you cannot choose your parents, your family, life, circumstances, etc. Childhood is impactful to a person's life because it lays the foundation for their emotional, social, and cognitive development. Experiences and relationships in childhood can shape a person's beliefs, values, and behaviors, as well as affect their mental and physical health. Childhood can also set the stage for future relationships and experiences. This is why a supportive and healthy childhood environment is important for overall well-being. Throughout this whole book, Brittany Renner's childhood experiences play a huge role dealing with the men she mentions in her book. That constant fear of disappointment is something I still grapple with as an adult. Brittany Renner is a person who consistently participates in relationships that result in harm. She displays patterns of codependency, low self-esteem, fear of being alone, and difficulty setting and enforcing boundaries. Brothers, this is why vetting a woman is important. Don't judge a book by its cover. Never trust a big butt in his mouth. Just because a woman had a rough childhood that she could not control does not give her a pass for being low quality. This is what we can control. Low-quality women do not deserve our time, money, and energy. Recognize the low quality and move forward. Protect yourself. A couple weeks later, I had a dinner date lined up for Valentine's Day with a super shy, but totally hot, baseball player. I wasn't the slightest bit interested in him, but he was cute enough to pass the time. He had the warmest smile, but he wasn't you. I figured everyone was going to keep falling short in comparison if I didn't at least make an attempt to move on with my life. The first cut is the deepest. It's a phrase used to describe the emotional pain of a first heartbreak or rejection. The phrase implies that the initial warning of losing someone or something you love can be especially painful, and that subsequent experiences of loss or heartbreak may be less intense in comparison. The phrase highlights the idea that the first love or heartbreak often has a profound impact and can leave a lasting impression. Brittany Renner's ex-boyfriend, that she refers to as Seth in her book, lives rent-free in her head. His name appears about a dozen times in each chapter. Of all the guys he discusses in her book, he had the greatest impact. Her book does not describe how she rose to fame or fortune as an Instagram model. However, she does reveal how Seth was instrumental in helping her develop and maintain her remarkable figure. She also maintained her modeling career on Instagram. We discuss the importance of virginity and a low body count in the mesosphere. Even though Seth did not steal her virginity, there is nothing quite like the first time. She was completely enamored with this man. She was his side chick before she became his main chick. Threesomes, and she did literally anything for him. Then, when she was not around, she was against other women sleeping. You're perfect. The narrative of the television show Makeover Life, which we are now analyzing, is very similar to Brittany Renner's encounter with Seth.
Brad wasn't just bad news. He was my own personal apocalypse. But it was thrilling, addicting, all that drama.
Brad wasn't just bad news. He was my own personal apocalypse. But it was thrilling, addicting, all that drama. It doesn't matter who she dates after him, you will never be him. It's no coincidence. My second marriages are even more likely to divorce. All the things she did were said she is not willing to do for the next guy, or the things that Seth did not want her to do, she purposely does with the next guy. The turnaround time for how quickly I moved on would have been upsetting for any ex, but that was the point. I wanted Seth to hurt, which brings me to you, Evan. This is the story of many women. Makeover as a tool to hurt their access, or to forget their access, or as a coping mechanism. Do you understand why we have record-breaking numbers of women being on antidepressants? They are not fixing the problem after these breakups. They are only making it worse. This is why you need to avoid Chad's leftovers. That's why you need to avoid damaged goods, broken women. Don't try to save her. She can't be safe. She doesn't want to be safe. What's also consistent in Brittany Renner's book is Tyrone. Men that are attractive, confident, and successful with women. She was always attracted to handsome guys first. Even the guys that she calls regular guys are not regular in looks. Even the blue jacks in her DM are selected based on appearance. One day, as I was casually scrolling through my DMs, one profile in particular caught my eye. After a further detailed investigation, I came to the conclusion that Mama liked what she saw. He was a low-key athlete who was known, but nobody would recognize him outside of his game uniform. Hello again, Ivan. You didn't have many posts and weren't following any of us IG girls, with the exception of me. We exchanged numbers because you were fine as hell and looked like everything I had been missing. It's well known to Brittany Renner, and women in general, that these Tyrones are juggling multiple women. What strikes me about Brittany Renner is that she expects Tyrone to be exclusive with her. How did you expect a truth like that to be overlooked when I had these deep feelings for you? Why would I ever condone you having meaningless makeovers with girls that you didn't really care about? If you had me, why did you need them? Read behind the lines, brothers. Who are the gatekeepers of meaningless makeover? Why are these ladies offering their bodies as a free gift to these men, and still have the gall to scrub these guys' commitments? The fairy tale isn't finished yet. If the princess is not the only one, the most desirable man in the country should be approached. These are the pinnacle males Brittany Renner writes about in her book. At the pinnacle of accomplishment, success, or renown in a specific field or industry. These ladies will allow Tyrone to have his way as long as they get something to bring home. For these guys, Brittany Renner is simply one of the females. Utilizing social media, Tyrone's reach extends beyond his area code. Beautiful women are plentiful in this world. Therefore, if your primary asset is physical attractiveness, you won't advance very far. What about setting some rules? Oh, I just forgot. Tyrone has no standards. When it comes to the holiness of makeover, women have fallen short. Through rewarding the unworthy men, treating the worthy man poorly, and viewing a quick makeover as a way to gain power. It is hard to take Brittany Renner seriously when she ends her stories by blaming the men for the breakup or short comics. That's why you'd have to read the whole story, because the foundation of her relationships are unstable to begin with. It never had a high chance of success in the first place. A lot of long-distance relationships, a lot of men with high status. Seth had a girlfriend, and she was his side chick in the beginning. Brittany Renner is the common denominator in all of these relationships. Her relationships never work, but somehow it's his fault in the end. In our video called Japanese Leftover Women Explain Why They Are Single and Lonely, one of the ladies says something that relates to Brittany Renner and a lot of women in general.
意外とあんまり長く付き合った彼氏実はいなくて、長くて多分2年いかないぐらい。いや、みんな素晴らしい優しい人だから、その人が悪いとかじゃなくって、自分が分かってないっていうか、どんな人が好きか分かんないとか、求めるところも多かったのかなって。理想があって、そういう人じゃないとなんかがっかりしちゃったりとか、勝手になんか自分の中でなんか求めるものと違うと続かなかったりとか、やっぱり最初の方ってなんかお互いに自分を頑張って見せるじゃないですか。だからそこだけ見て付き合ったりとか、そして慣れてきたら、なんか思ってた人と違うとか、そういうちょっと浅いですね。
Modern women have unrealistic expectations of what a relationship is supposed to be and how it is supposed to work. And Brittany Renner says something that I mentioned many times on this channel. There are perks to being classified as a villain because the pressure isn't as high to be perfect. Pure gold, I'll say it again. A good guy can make a woman feel bad for not being a good woman. A bad guy makes a woman feel good because he takes away the pressure to be a good woman. This is why it's essential. That is always men's fault. Because women don't handle rejection very well, they don't handle responsibility very well. Once again, antidepressants. A lot of the damage is self-inflicted, and that's why I do not feel sympathy for Brittany Renner. This is the most interesting consistency for me. Reading Brittany Renner's book made me aware that she and other women are aware of the red field through bombs we are dropping on a daily basis. Here in the manosphere, that's exactly why women want us to shut up. That's exactly why Brittany Renner was doing this.
11 athletes.
Woo!
5 entertainers.
Woo!
8 regular guys.
11 athletes, 5 entertainers, 8 regular guys. Woe means she was breaking the girl cold, and she broke it many times before. Women are aware that it's a turn-off for men to have a high body count. I was at a disadvantage in terms of fitting the perfect girlfriend criteria. I was younger than you but had more bodies, which you would frequently remind me how bad that made me look. It was impossible to compete with Miss Goody Two-Shoes and her untainted Vaden. Women are trying their absolute best to try to get this on an equal footing, saying men do it too, but that's exactly the problem. You are not a man. And this book constantly reminds you that the things Brittany Renner experiences are reserved only for women and a small group of men. There is no equality. That will never be equality. And to take it a step further, Women do not want equality. They only want the equality that benefits them, her quality. Women like Brittany Renner are all or nothing. She's not going to settle. Even though she knows the truth, she will never accept. Only when it's too late. She will most likely die alone. This is the fate of a lot of modern Western women. Over 50% are single, loneliness is on their eyes. And if it's important to you to have a serious relationship, to have a family, I suggest you take your talents overseas, where certain values are still respected. This is our first book review from a rapid perspective. If this is something that you guys like, please let us know. I like to read. As always, I wish you tremendous success.
If I can be completely transparent, I feel like ever since I put out my book in 2018, there was definitely a decline in interest, like DM-wise. And I think now, because I've been painted as such a villain and I leaned into that role, there are a lot of men that fear me. Like, I'll see them in my story views, you know what I mean? But it's like nobody's really going out of their way to pursue me.
To give your support, click the thumbs up button. Please leave a comment below if you would like to see more videos like this one. Be sure to give it to the guys who are in the most precarious need of it.